Hey guys, welcome back to Triple F Shooting. Today we are going to be talking about a Smith & Wesson 686. This one's actually a plus, so it gets 7 rounds instead of 6. Not sure why 7 looks like 5 in my hands. My dog probably just made me vibrate a little bit. He's under my feet. Don't worry about it. Alright, the 686 in my hands is actually, like I said, a plus, but it's also a Talo edition. I don't know that they call it that anymore, but it's one of the 357 revolvers, so it has a 5-inch barrel with a non-fluted cylinder, so it's a little bit heavier. And then these grips are not the ones that originally came on. They get like a black laminate looking, and it says literally 357 on it to be the Neato edition. Anywho, the whole point behind this particular video and why I got this gun out, this was always going to be in a video at some point, but for this one we're going to do a little bit more of a comparison based on personal experience. So that personal experience: took my son to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital up in St. Louis. He's totally fine. It was like ear stuff. I can't remember what that's called. It's got a big funny otolaryngectomy, something like that. So walked into the hospital, and lo and behold, the officer, or what I thought was an officer at the time, turned out to be hired security, but he is wearing something like this in a leather holster and HKS speed loaders, which we're riding in something like this, and look something like that. So these are actually 7-rounders. You have to insert in gun, twist knob, bullets come out. Neato. We'll get into that on the reload portion. But I haven't seen an officer or anyone like that wear a revolver for a duty purpose in probably my whole lifetime. I was born in the 90s, so take that for what it's worth. But by then, I think just about every department, precinct, all that stuff had gone to some kind of autoloader. This particular one is just a placeholder, but it's a Glock 34. So that being said, I started to think about, like, how screwed are these guys if something really goes down? Like, they're guarding a hospital. Hopefully there's not, you know, rat people out there that would attack a children's hospital, but those rat people exist. One other thing is when we walked outside, the guards that were outside the front door were actually wearing full coverage flap holsters like this one, where all you can see is like the butt of the gun just barely sticking out. What I would assume is that's for like a non-threatening presence in front of the children's hospital. I don't think you want to go to a hospital where everyone's rocking like ARs and tactical gear and stuff. That might make you a little nervous when you're already at a time where maybe you're not in the best mindset because you're going there to help your child, and that's always stressful. So that, you know, did its job. The gun's not real obvious or evident, so people aren't going to be wigged out. But in thinking about all this and wondering about it, talked to an acquaintance friend of mine that happens to be an officer, and he let me know that, no, those are actually guards. They're not cops. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And said that they actually had a shoot, a justified shoot, a couple of years back. This is all anecdotal on my part. I did not look it up, but said that the suspect was attempting to, like, break into different cars, was hopping from vehicle to vehicle, seeing what they could get. When the guard apprehended or tried to stop that person, they jumped in the car that they were driving and attempted to run him down. While the vehicle was coming at him, he drew his weapon and fired rounds into the windshield and actually took the guy out, got hit by the car. The guard lived. Guy driving car doing rat things did not live. So how screwed are you if you're running a revolver? That guy did it. So let's dig into that. So to start our comparison and kind of the thought experiment that we're dealing with, let's just go over the features of this particular revolver. So tip to butt, we have a full underlug barrel at 5 inches with a red ramped front sight. That red ramp you pick up pretty quickly with your eyeballs. And that full underlug both protects the sticky outer ejector button pushy thing, as well as adds weight to the front of the gun, which tames recoil and weight is a part of this thing. I think we're at the high 30s, if not low 40 ounces range with this particular all stainless steel revolver. Moving on back, we do have a unfluted cylinder. Again, adding weight. I don't know that it's a ton of weight, but it's a little bit, and I think it looks neater than a fluted cylinder. Doesn't matter a whole lot. The rear sight of the gun is fully adjustable. It has a cute little white box, if you can see that. So again, kind of drawing the eye. Honestly, I should just color that in with Sharpie. I prefer a blacked out rear coloration of some sort on the front. Moving on down to the trigger. As with all 686s, this is a double action, single action revolver. That means, again, open, yay, no bullets. That means I can either make the hammer go bang by pulling the trigger by itself all the way to the rear, or I can cock the hammer and then very, very lightly press on that fully set trigger. That being said, this thing's been worked on. I bought it used. It was sort of a holy grail gun back when I was teaching. So poor old teacher me had to save up a decent amount of money to get a hold of this thing. So when I did, I bought a used one. It came in and was buttery stupid smooth. It was so light a trigger pull, in fact, I had to increase the pressure on the mainspring a little bit so that it would reliably fire in double action mode, because I'd get like 5 out of the 7 rounds to go off with that mainspring set the way it was. So tighten it up, increase the trigger pull poundage just a hair, but runs very, very smoothly. Smoother than any other revolver I've ever run. That's not saying a ton, but very nice trigger pull on this, so it's kind of cheating. Moving on back from the trigger, your hammer is super gnarly, and so is your cylinder release. As with all Smith & Wessons, you are pushing forward to get the thing unseated. As I stated a couple times, it is a 7-round count instead of 6, which is nifty. We are now at the capacity of auto-loading pistols in the early 1900s, so that's nice. I also have the round butt set up instead of the square. Anymore, it feels like pretty much all the modern Smith & Wesson guns, unless it's some kind of special edition, have a round butt. I don't think that matters a whole lot. I myself prefer a round butt to a square butt if we're talking about butts in general. On this, I don't really care. I could go either way. But it does feel good in the hand. Like I stated, grips were not the original that came on it. They are checkered for your pleasure, and they do have finger grooves that are way bigger than my spider little baby girl fingers. So I actually get 2 fingers in that first knurl and ride the gun pretty high, again, taming recoil. So that's all the features at a high speed rate, or high for me anyway, on the 686 Plus. What do all those things come together and do? .262, so same speed. Let's see if the group suck. So you can tell my hand loads are wad cutters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm pretty happy with that. Neato, gang. Get in there. Screw it, I lost one. So for me, all of those features come together and make a very, very shootable firearm. If you are looking for extreme accuracy, you can go ahead and run the thing in single action. And I kid you not, I've had multiple people that the first time they shot this gun, I said, if you're going to cock the hammer, that finger discipline needs to be for real, because it takes somewhere around, I'm guessing like 2 pounds tops. It's like breathe on it and it goes off for, compared to something like this. So you can get very, very, very good accuracy out of this gun with the right loads when you're running in single action. And then again, that double action trigger pull is smooth enough that I can put down, quite a few rounds fairly quickly and stay within my target. Double action is really good to train people to shoot, to follow through mainly, because the entire length of that pull, you need to keep the gun still. And that is not the easiest thing to do until you get good at it. Once you are good at it, shooting stuff like this feels like a walk in the park, because you can handle, you know, that full length of stroke under that weight and shoot well. You can do a striker or any other pistol. Excuse me. I'm full of boogers. Like I said, very shootable. Is it enough to keep up with an autoloader? Let's check it out. So once I got my crap together, it was pretty tight, but there's a lot of spread. Get in there. Screw it, I lost one. Woo, that was 10 whole seconds. Oh no. Hey, we kept him. Okay, so the whole thing was in double action. And I actually did not do horrible. Every clean looking hole is 357. Just threw some in there for giggles. And then all the kind of torn ones are 38s. So I had one 357 get out of the ring, two 38s, probably on the movement or reload drills. Not bad. Okay. So when compared to something like a Glock 34, the obvious differences are going to be capacity, caliber, and then what I would call like the stuff you can do to it category, like that TLR1 on the front. I don't really see anywhere lacking duct tape to slap a TLR1 on this. Now, you can do like Crimson Trace grips to put lasers, that kind of thing on it, but that category is quite a bit limited compared to this. And we can get into a little bit more of it in a minute. Now, as far as initial engagement, do I think you're screwed if you have a revolver? Absolutely not. If you have to shoot less than 7 rounds, you can also get up to like 8 in a 627 or something like that. If you're doing your part and you are within, you know, legal distances of defending yourself, so let's say 7 yards and in most situations closer than that, I don't think that you are underserved with a revolver. I carry a 5-shot snub nose when my attire dictates it, because that's what I can still carry, and I'd rather have that than a tactical pin. But I would not feel gross about carrying this in a standard defensive situation. Would I want to carry this into like combat? No. Not anymore anyway. If everyone had these, sure, I would feel better about that. The playing field would be pretty even. But, you know, if I'm going into a place where I think people are going to have these or bigger, and I'm carrying this, not my favorite scenario. So, initial encounter, revolver totally fine. It even might do a little bit better job because you have slightly more oomph in your round. If you are, like I said, going into combat or carrying it for duty purposes, where there's the potential to have to deal with more than a person, going with the auto-loading pistol, because even if I run out of my 17, 20, 33, whatever if I'm going real hardcore, I can reload this a whole lot easier. You get empty gun, drop mag, new mag, cool, or it's, I'll just show you.
Half of it's just getting the thing out of it.
So as you can see, I cannot make a revolver load as quickly as I can make an auto load. That's just reality. That is part of it. Involved with the reloading bit, there is just general capacity. I get what the chambers can carry in this and nothing more. With this, I can carry, 17. I can carry 20, I can get 24 rounders, I can get 33 rounders, I can get 50 round drums. I can do all. So capacity is key. If I'm being honest, I'd rather have 15, 17, 20 of these little cute 9mm compared to 7 or 8 or 6 of these 357s. That's not to say those don't work. It's just if I can have more of something that's slightly less potent, I'll probably go that route. Now, one thing that surprised me in doing this, I think because this gun is so heavy, and it's just obviously a different gun, when I switched from shooting this in the same drill over to shooting this actually felt like it had more recoil at first, or at least was harder for me to shoot accurately between the spongy trigger and the snappier characteristics. With 38 Special, this thing just kind of feels like a very soft shooting 22 or something like that. There's very little movement, as you can see in the video, and it's just easy to keep rounds where I want them, whereas this required me to kind of reassess like my grip and trigger squeeze and all that good stuff. Now, if you're shooting this all the time, you're going to be fine. All things considered, like I said, initial encounter, I do not feel bad about carrying a revolver or for hunting, something like that. Anything beyond that, I'll take an auto because other people have autos and we're not all playing on the same field, and I want all the advantages I can get. One more thing to note that's kind of just part of the accessories of the two things. This is the holster I was working out of. This looks kind of old and cowboyish. I really, really like this holster. It's great for like carrying in the woods or whatever. Maybe not the most tactical or practical thing for speed shooting, but that's what I had on hand. Otherwise, it was going to be the old chest rig that I have for a 44 that actually fits in pretty well. We're not going into combat in that. With an auto, you just have, now anyway, more of your tactical style options for holsters, mag carriers, all that kind of thing that's a little bit more, to me, bulletproof. When you're trying to reload out of one of these cute HKS carriers, you have to, break the top, pull the thing, twist, do all that stuff. I just pull out of the top on these, and there's so much retention that they're not coming out, but when I need them to, they are. So as far as like accessories, everyone's moving toward those, or has been for a long time, so you're going to have more available to you in the auto loading department. Now, all that said, I still freaking love this gun. It is so much fun to shoot. Everyone that I've ever put it in their hands also loves this gun. And more often than not, it feels like people enjoy shooting this over something like this. Now, is your enjoyment going to equal Fight 1? Probably not. For me, revolvers still have a very solid place in my collection. If I was only going to own a handgun, just one handgun and that's it, wouldn't be a revolver, it'd probably be like a Glock 19, so I could be like everyone else and have accessibility to parts, ammo, and mags, because that's the practical choice. This maybe isn't the most practical choice anymore, but there's a whole lot of soul to having a revolver. You do get more power, so for things like hunting or just carrying out in the woods where you may run across a predator or some kind of pest animal, something like that, I would rather be able to put one round of 357 in something than 1 or 2 rounds of 9mm. But even beyond that, this is just a piece of our history. Revolvers are still around. They're going to be around. They may not be carried as much, but they very much have a place in my collection and my shooting experience. So I think it's worth the money. Other people may not. I wouldn't feel totally screwed with it, but practicality dictates that you should probably have something like this. So, all that crap being said, thanks for watching Triple F Shooting, and we'll see you in the next video.
Oh. At least I know this works. That works really good. That little thong. I almost pulled my pants up my ass.